Welcome back to Capital Catch-Up, the podcast that breaks down what's happening in Congress so you know how it affects your life. I'm Victor.
And I'm Lainey. Today, we have a packed agenda, a slew of bills ranging from museum authorizations to appropriations, a list of presidential nominations, and the latest entries in the congressional record. Let's dive right in.
First up, Senate Bill 858. This measure would authorize the National Medal of Honor Museum Foundation to put up a commemorative work on the National Mall. The purpose is to honor the valor, selfless service, and sacrifice of Medal of Honor recipients. If passed, it would add a new monument to the mall's landscape, potentially drawing more visitors interested in military history and providing a dedicated space for remembrance ceremonies.
Senate Bill 1142 seeks to adjust the boundary of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area to include the Scarper Ridge property. The bill doesn't detail what that entails beyond the boundary shift, but such adjustments often aim to protect additional land from development and expand public recreation opportunities. For Bay Area residents, that could mean more trails and preserved natural space.
Moving to the House, House Bill 7147 is the Further Additional Continuing Appropriations Act, 2026. Continuing resolutions like this one keep the government funded when regular appropriations bills aren't finished by the start of the fiscal year. This particular measure would extend funding at current levels, preventing a government shutdown and ensuring that federal agencies can continue operations.
Closely tied to that is House Resolution 1142, which provides for the disposition of the Senate amendment to H.R. 747. In plain terms, it's a procedural step that allows the House to consider and vote on any changes the Senate made to the continuing resolution. It's a routine part of reconciling differences between the two chambers.
House Bill 8138, the DPA Specialized Staffing Act, appears to focus on staffing within the Defense Production Act framework. While the title doesn't specify details, bills with DPA often aim to improve the government's ability to hire experts quickly for national defense needs, something that became salient during the pandemic.
House Bill 8149, the Agricultural Access to Addiction and Mental Health Care Act, would likely seek to expand mental health and addiction services for farmers and ranchers. Given the well-documented stressors in agriculture, this could improve access to counseling and treatment in rural areas where providers are scarce.
House Bill 8147, the Risk-Based Oversight for Integrity Act, suggests a shift toward focusing regulatory resources on areas deemed higher risk. The idea is to make oversight more efficient by targeting inspections and audits where problems are most likely, potentially reducing compliance burdens on low-risk entities while still protecting public safety.
House Bill 7084, the Defending American Property Abroad Act of 2026, sounds like it would strengthen the government's ability to protect U.S.-owned assets overseas. While we don't have the text, similar bills often address issues like expropriation, denial of justice, or other risks faced by American businesses and citizens abroad.
House Concurrent Resolution 82 expresses support for the goals and ideals of International Transgender Day of Visibility. Resolutions like this are symbolic. They don't have the force of law, but can signal congressional sentiment on social issues and help raise awareness.
House Bill 2257, the National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Coin Act, would likely authorize the minting of a commemorative coin to honor fallen firefighters. Proceeds from such coins often go to related memorials or charities, offering a tangible way for the public to support firefighting families.
House Bill 2555, the Freedom of Association and Higher Education Act of 2025, appears aimed at protecting the right of student groups to set their own membership requirements. This touches on ongoing debates about campus speech, religious organizations, and anti-discrimination policies.
House Bill 3045, the West Bank Violence Prevention Act of 2005, suggests a focus on reducing violence in the West Bank, possibly through aid, monitoring, or diplomatic measures. Given the complexity of the Israeli-Palestinian context, such legislation would likely have foreign policy implications.
House Bill 4448, the Restoring Equal Opportunity Act, hints at efforts to address discrimination or inequities, though the exact scope isn't clear from the title alone. It could relate to employment, housing, or education protections.
House Joint Resolution 108 proposes a constitutional amendment stating that no one can claim immunity from criminal prosecution for actions taken in their official capacity, and that a president cannot pardon themselves. Amendments require a 2/3 vote in both chambers and ratification by 3/4 of the states. So this is a significant, though long-shot effort to clarify presidential accountability.
Finally, House Bill 5469, The SHINE for Autumn Act of 2025 doesn't give much away from its title, but SHINE often stands for something like supporting health and independence in nursing, or similar. Whatever the exact focus, it's another piece of the healthcare puzzle.
Now, let's turn to the nominations. The Senate has been considering a series of judicial and executive posts. Christopher R. Wolf of Texas is nominated to be a United States District Judge for the Western District of Texas, filling the seat vacated by Judge David Campos Guadarrama.
John Thomas Shepard of Arkansas is up for a judgeship on the Western District of Arkansas, replacing Judge Susan Owens Hickey, who is retiring.
James Stewart of Minnesota is nominated to serve as United States Marshal for the District of Minnesota, succeeding Eddie M. Frizzell.
Catherine Dillon of Maryland is tapped to be an Assistant Secretary of State for Educational and Cultural Affairs, a role that oversees international exchange programs like the Fulbright program.
Ademola Adewale Sadiq of New York is nominated to be the United States Director of the African Development Bank, a position that helps shape development financing across the continent.
Brian Gutkin of Montana is up for United States Marshal for the District of Montana, taking over from Craig J. Anderson.
Yeuk Kim of Texas is nominated to be the representative of the United States to the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, with the rank of Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary.
Cara Marie Westerkamp of Virginia is slated to be a judge of the United States Court of International Trade, filling the vacancy left by Judge Stephen A. Vaden's resignation.
Evan Riki of the Virgin Islands is nominated to serve as a judge for the District Court of the Virgin Islands for a 10-year term, succeeding Judge Wilma Antoinette Lewis.
Kathleen S. Lane of Montana is up for a federal district judgeship in the District of Montana, replacing Judge Susan P. Waters, who is retiring.
Edward Epler of Connecticut is nominated to be the Chief Financial Officer of the Department of Transportation, a key financial management post.
Sharia Akins Clark of South Carolina is tapped for a district judgeship in the District of South Carolina, succeeding Judge Robert Bryan Harwell, who is retiring.
Finally, there are 3 nominations, numbers 892, 893, and 894, for which no description was provided in the source material. So we can't specify the positions or individuals beyond the fact that they are pending.
Now, a quick look at the Congressional record. We have 2 daily issues. Volume 172, number 57, dated March 26, 2026, and Volume 172, number 56, dated March 25, 2026. These records contain the verbatim proceedings, debates, and notices from those days in the House and Senate.
While we haven't parsed every line, the record is where you'll find lawmakers' statements, votes taken, and the formal wording of any measures that were considered. It's the primary source for understanding the legislative process in real time.
To sum up today's discussion, Congress is weighing a commemorative Medal of Honor monument, tweaking national park boundaries, and keeping the government funded through a continuing resolution. It's also considering staffing and oversight reforms, mental health access for farmers, and measures to protect U.S. property abroad. On the social front, there's symbolic support for transgender visibility and a commemorative coin for fallen firefighters. In the judiciary, a slate of district court and marshals nominations awaits action, along with several executive posts. And of course, the congressional record captures the day-to-day debate.
That's all for this episode of Capital Catch-Up. Thanks for joining us. Stay informed, stay engaged, and we'll catch you next time. Goodbye.